Yay! Welcome to the weekly team call. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm really excited to have in Audrey's comment. I'm really excited to have Emily here today. She's really awesome with organization. She has really cool ways of running her challenge groups too. And I know that it's always awesome to get new ideas, because I know for us, we're like, what can we do to create more like energy and engagement and excitement and results and everything in your challenge group. So I am just going to let you just completely take it, Emily, because I'm brain farting right now.
You got it. And as Candace said, there's so many different ways to do things. So I'm just going to share what's been working for me right now. And what my team always does is, we have ways of doing things, and then every few months we reassess. It's super important in this business that you're constantly looking at what's working and what's not working. Because as you all know, as things, you're trying something and it's great in the beginning, and then it may get a little stale after a while. It can make you frustrated and feel burnt out, and that's the time to get creative. So I apologize if I don't see everything in the chat right away. So Candace, feel free to interrupt me. I'm just looking at some notes that I put together for today. But I do this for every single month. And the first thing that I'm going to show you is I actually have I've tried so many different types of calendars and planners, but for me, having a physical planner that I can write in helps for me to start. So this was my month. I know you're not going to be able to see it, but for August, I went in and I chose dates for every single thing that I was doing. That's the first thing I do, a little more than halfway through a month. Like, I've already done this for September, but August was a great one. So I had my Shift Shop challenge group starting. I had a What is Coaching event, and I had a free group. Those are like the three main things that I put on my calendar every month: a challenge group start date, a What is Coaching event, and those can be run 1,000 different ways, and then a free group. The goal is obviously that I have things to invite to. So once I know what I'm going to invite to and I have my dates, it helps me as I'm planning my posts, and I can talk about them in those posts. So, like 2 weeks before my Shift Shop challenge group, I would say like every other post was either a direct invite or an indirect me talking about how excited I was or sharing something I learned about the meal plan. There's so many different ways to invite and build interest and curiosity. But once I knew my start date, that's what I was doing for 2 weeks ahead of that. Same thing with a What is Coaching event. And in conversations that I'm having behind the scenes or on Instagram, I can invite people saying, I have this coming up next week. I think you might be interested. Let me pop you in there. So that's what I use my paper for. Now, what I want to really talk about is how I run my challenge groups. I used to do these monthly challenge groups, and I'd have a mix of new people and people that have been with me since the beginning. I started coaching right after Candace, like 3 years ago. I've had people with me since day one, challengers and coaches. And I noticed that in my challenge groups, they were getting really bored every time I added new people in, because they've been doing this for so long that they don't need a lesson on how to use the containers or how to get started with a meal plan. It was too basic for them. So that's when I had an aha moment, and I said, okay, I'm going to start doing 5-day quick start groups for new people. So that's really what I invite and what I call my challenge group invite. I pick a date, and that's when I'm going to start launching I've done a 5-day and I've done a 2-week. It just kind of depends. And I'm going to show you the exact calendar and the content that I share. But what's really great about that is it's like a soft intro into a bigger group for someone that's brand new. I got a lot of feedback from new challengers and coaches when I popped them in a big wellness group that they were overwhelmed by the number of posts. They weren't seeing everything, and it actually made them fall off track versus helping them get started because it was all too much. So having a smaller, intimate group, and the beauty of these things, if you do them for 5 days, is you can run 2 a month if you have enough new people in. So they're not waiting so long to be joining a challenge group. It's a soft intro, and then I bring them in after their 5-day quick start. I make this huge deal about them graduating from the quick start into the wellness community. And I know you guys have one with Rising Lotus, and my wellness community is just ongoing, ever living and breathing. And I'll get into more details about that as well, but it just kind of not just runs itself. We do have content in there and I do new things, but we have lifers in there that are sharing things and stepping up. And that's where I feel like you can breed your challengers into coaches as well. So I wanted to do a quick screen share of my 5-day quick start. Okay, can you guys see this? So this was, this was a 2-week one. I've gone back and forth. Both have worked. It just depended on what I wanted to do that month. Oops. Okay. So the goal of a quick start, obviously, is to get someone that's brand new to Beachbody, to at-home workouts, maybe to meal planning, everything they need to get started successfully. When I sit down and I start to put together content for this, I'm like, what did I need as a new challenger that would have helped me? And now, like Beachbody with Beachbody On Demand provides us so many resources that we can use. So I made this once, and I sometimes go back and tweak it, but pretty much I can use this for every single quick start. And if I decide to do it 5 days, I'll just combine some of the posts, and you'll see a bunch of names here. Why I love doing this, and we do this as a team, just because it helps us take turns, them seeing new faces in the group. And, every day we're all super busy in life. It's really nice to have the team accountable for having the days that they own it as hosts, and it's their job to go in and talk about this. And of course, we go in and make sure we're following up with all of our people. But some of my favorite things to talk about is, taking their measurements. I send them the link on how to use Beachbody On Demand, which Beachbody already created for us. We talk about picking a program based off their goals. We have them introduce themselves. We have them set their goals and kind of share their action plan of where they want to be in the next month. I do a whole day on Shakeology because some people are brand new to it. They don't know why it's different than a regular over-the-counter protein shake. So I make it very clear the benefits of it and why they should be drinking it. I love to break down the containers for them. I do a really deep dive, usually in a live video, on how to use them because I found that's where people struggle the most. And we talk a lot about interacting, especially as we get towards the end and they're going to graduate into their wellness community, how important it is for them to interact, for them to see the best results. We do lots of fun stuff too, like Flex Friday. The goal is basically to give them a soft intro into what the wellness community is like, so they're not like, oh my God, what are all of these posts? And they know what they can expect to see every single day. So just going to quickly check the chat. Yeah, Tess, we've had a lot of feedback. Some people really love the small group, so it's helped. I really feel like it helps with the new people. And I'm just going to make sure I didn't miss anything on the 5-day quick start. Oh, the one thing I wanted to say about the 5-day quick start, it's super important, especially when you're bringing new people in, that you're getting in there in real time. I know a lot of us can tend to use like Postcron or schedule posts or make videos in advance, and that's totally fine sometimes, but these new people don't really know you yet most of the time, so it's really important for them to see you showing up and in there, posting your own accountability every day, just so they see that it will be like that in the wellness group. And just when I make my videos, I just schedule in time to go live. It doesn't take that long, especially if you're reusing the same content over and over. I just think it helps them feel more comfortable when they see you in there and not just like a timed post going up. I think it's just more personal. So this is a quick start, is a separate group, Candace. So I don't want them within the wellness group because there'll be too many posts. So I make a separate group. So like, I'll just call it like September quick starter. If I have a fun theme, like I've done like summer boot camp Kickstarter, whatever, if we're deciding to do something fun with it. And I just have them in their own separate group. When the quick start is over, I move them over into my ongoing wellness group. I introduce them in a tagged post. I make everyone welcome and congratulate them for joining. And then I close the other group for posts, just so no one gets confused. And that's worked really well. So I do a new one every month, if not twice a month. So I always aim to have one right in the beginning of the month. But then if I'm getting a lot of people still having interest wanting to sign up and start with a challenge pack, I'll just run another one later in the month because all the content is there for me. And if I have enough people, I'll just pop them in, because why make them wait, especially if they order their challenge pack and it's coming. And this is why I think it's great to partner up with other coaches and do it together, because you can take turns and be like, I'll do 2 days, you do 2 days. So it's just something we have ongoing in the team page. And if I have coaches that want to go off and do their own thing, awesome, that's great. And I have other coaches that want to do it together every month. I do ask when my coaches join that, they're responsible for their people that they are bringing in. They are their coach. They need to make sure everything is answered. And they also can help develop content. I want them to put their mark on this and make it their own. So we do look at the calendar every month, more so for the wellness group, which I'll go into next. The 5-day quick start is pretty standard on what we share, but I'll have them go in and do the video instead of me, or do the post instead of me, or share a recipe. Brie, it kind of depends. Let me just look. This last month we had 4. It's honestly just, I only put a coach in the quick start to help me if they have people in it. If they don't have someone in it, I'm not going to have them help me with the quick start. I want them focused in a wellness group or bringing in new people. So if someone has someone and they want to partner up, they can come in. So 3 to 4, it just depends. Let's see. Free groups, I ease into the challenge pack. It's just honestly building a relationship with them. I've done everything from a clean eating group to a 30-day ab group. I used to do those. Now I'm kind of leaning towards what Candace is doing and what Colleen is doing, where I was calling it living your badass life. It was kind of based off of Colleen's Beautiful Minds group. The goal to incorporate a lot of personal development and mindset into it, and to give them the belief that they can make a change. And once I do that, I just go straight into the invite. I private message them. I thank them for joining me. And I say, if you'd like to continue on with me, I'm running this online wellness community. I'd love to share more details about what it entails. Would you be interested in hearing about it? And when they say yes, I send them all the details. I say everyone in the group is using what is called a challenge pack. The challenge, I can send Candace my exact script if you want, or I think I have it up. I can just post it in this chat. Let me just pull it up because I have it right here. This is just the beginning of it, and then I kind of just go into what I feel is best for them. I do a little bit more explaining about what the workouts are like and the nutrition, and I just go for the invite. They've already joined you. They get to know you, so just go for it. Before we get into any more questions about free groups, I wanted to transition into what's next after the Kickstart and talk about the wellness community. The wellness community, I just envision just becoming this big home base for all of my people, to have a community of support and motivation and love. So I think right now we have 150 people in there. It's great. And of course, some people sit back and watch and others participate regularly. But I found that some people that sit back do get motivated by it and do check it. And I get those messages, I've fallen so far off, but I see everyone. Can you help me get started again? And then we work together again. So I personally really like to keep it going. So I don't have a start and end date to my wellness groups, but I do try to put a theme behind them every month or two. So for August, our theme was back to basics. We actually survey our wellness group a lot, and we ask them what's working, what's not working, what would they like to see more of. I think it's really important to get that feedback from your people. So you're giving them what's going to help them. And we heard that they were just really struggling with the summer and their busy schedules and kids being out of school, and they just needed a refresh. So we themed it back to basics, and we got nitty gritty on using the containers again, because sometimes they do need that refresher. We got really into recipes and holding each other accountable, and we actually do a lot of personal development in our wellness group. So I actually try to get a guest speaker every single month in there. We've had Haley, I've had Colleen, I've had Brad Bizjack, I've had Craig. I want to get Candace in there. And basically treating it like we would treat a team call for our coaches. I just prep the speaker saying, you know, like, these aren't coaches, these are challengers. But Colleen, for example, does such a great video on mastering your mindset, and I just knew that's what they needed to hear. So every month I just look for a really motivational person that I know through Beachbody, and I ask them to come in and just share their story, talk about how Beachbody helped them, and give their tips and let the group ask questions. We usually just do a live video in the page, and that has been amazing. So people sometimes just need to hear from someone else. So we do a major focus on personal development. So I definitely suggest trying that out, and people are happy to do it because then you can return the favor for them one day. So my wellness groups, like I said, are ongoing, and I really engage my newer coaches to get involved and help here. So I will share my screen again. We do the exact same thing where we make a calendar. My goal with wellness groups is, like, I don't want these people to feel like they're, like, forgotten or it gets stale. So that's why we put together a calendar. I just love to have some, it doesn't have to be crazy different topics every day, but, like, have some idea of what we want to share about, whether it be by the week or, you know, by the day. And this is such a great spot to get a new coach that's, like, kind of unsure if they want to coach or not yet involved, because I'm going to say, you know, can you help me these 3 days and just come up with 3 topics that you want to share about, and, like, your job that day or your task that day is to post in the group these 3 things. And it gives them accountability and it helps them ease into coaching. So that one looks very similar. Oops. So we have a bunch. I keep them actually all together because sometimes we can reuse content. So I keep them all here. I keep them all here just so we can go back if we're ever looking for topics. Someone's not on mute. You guys hear that?
It's me.
Oh. Okay. So this was one we did in June, and honestly, I just polled my team and I said, who wants to come together and do this, and who wants to help? And I just made this blank calendar, and everyone just filled in different topics that they liked. One thing we found really fun was doing a challenger of the week every week. We recognize our coaches and each other, like, in the team page, so why not recognize your challengers? So every week we would just nominate a challenger of the week to celebrate them and just be like, you know, Amy was really kicking butt this week. She was struggling the week before getting her workout in every morning, and she did it every day this week. And I would put up a picture of them and put their name on there, just like we do with our coaches, and they loved that. We've done little giveaways. We've done trivia. We'll share tips from books that we're reading. I've actually given away You Are a Badass. This is just a fun way to get the team together to share about things that they're passionate about. Like, I have people that are really into meditation and things like that. So I had them talk about that, where I would maybe share some cooking tips or recipes, because that's, like, really what I love. So it's nothing too crazy, and it looks like a lot, but it doesn't really take that much time to put it together. And once you do it for 1 month, you pretty much have it, and you can just tweak things you want to share about. So, and then they live in here in their wellness group, ongoing, and we just rebrand it to make it fresh and fun. So I'm just reading through. How far in advance do we schedule? Erin, do you mean our quick starts or wellness groups? I'm not exactly sure what you mean. And yes, Candace, I'll send you all of them. You guys can all use them. Oh, how far in advance? It depends. Like, I try to think of them in the beginning of the month just so I have the whole month to work out a time with them. Like, I knew for Craig that I wanted him in there, like, close to like, at the beginning of July because we were having shift shop and I knew he was in the test group. So, like, that one was more planned and I had a specific window of time. But, like, for Brad and Colleen, I was just like, what works for you? Just because I know they're so busy, like, running their own businesses. So. Bree, I do not have a minimum or a maximum amount of challengers for the quick start. We've had between, like, I would say 10 to 20 because I'm doing it with other coaches too on the team. So I open up all my groups to the coaches on my team if they're not running their own. Some choose to do that, and that's awesome. I love that. And others really love doing it together, so I just always offer mine up. But if they do join me, then I hold them responsible to help run the group and develop content for it. So they have fun with it. Yes, I have a separate Facebook page for my team. I have a team page where we, like, talk about all this stuff. We'll do our own team calls and talk about things. Like, we're kind of in a place where it runs itself. We know what to do. But when we were, like, implementing this, we would meet and we just had fun with it. We're like, what can we do? Like, what do these people need to help them? And my coaches all the time will message and be like, can we get this person to speak? Or I'm going to reach out. Like Leslie Branton, one of my coaches, she's the one that got Haley in. So, we all work on it together. And I really like doing it that way. We've gone back and forth. We've used the challenge tracker app, especially on months where there've been a health bet. We use the challenge tracker app because we want people to be able to win the money. And we think it's a great way for people to be able to log their workouts in Shakeology and us have visibility. But we actually did a survey a few months back and asked what they liked better, and they liked the Facebook group, and they thought it was tedious to enter in the app, and we didn't like that we couldn't do live videos, so we just moved it back to Facebook because that's what they've liked. But when there is, like, a big, like, thing going on, if it's like the health bet or like the shake all for shift shop, when they had you posting the pictures on Instagram, we just had them log in there and then share the picture, but then everything else was in the Facebook group. So I wish people liked it more, and I wish we could go live in it because I would just use that. Oh, Erin, that's like such a tough question. Who wins prizes? We've done so many different things. If any of you guys actually have a good way of doing this, let me know. Like, that is where I felt things got tedious. Like, we used to do these crazy, like, track a point if you drank your Shakeology and took a picture, or track if you did your workout, and we were spending so much time tracking our people that we're like, we can't do this. So sometimes we'll do a pinned post at the top of the page and everyone has to comment on that, and we can tally it up that way. Otherwise, it's like a silly, like, if we're giving away, like, just like we have some packets of Energize that we just are giving away because we love them and it's fun, we'll do like a trivia question and pick a winner at random. There's so many websites you can use to just do a random name draw, and so it's fair. Or I'll do a live video of picking a name out of a hat for everyone that commented. They like that. So, oh man, if you guys have any tips on, like, doing giveaways and challenges, please share them. That's like my biggest pain point.
I have one. So the last month that I did, we ended up having a challenge for each day, and then we would have everyone log in. Like, we would make this one post, and everyone would have to log in if, like, we gave them points of, like, drinking their shake, their water, their workout, and then they did, like, the daily challenge, and they would have to post before the next day, before I think it was 12 p.m. And then whoever posted in that thread was tallied up on the sheet. And, like, that's how we did it. But then we ended up having two people that were in a tie. So we just ended up having them do a live video of a plank who would last the longest. And that worked. But like, I don't know what else to do, but that seemed to help.
I've totally done that too, and it's just so hard to keep track of those points. Like, the person has to go back every day and keep track of those points and make sure they're added. It's it works, but it's tedious for sure.
Yeah. It's so funny. Some people are just totally motivated by prizes and others aren't. So we do try to incorporate them. Like we tried to do what I know Candace has done before, and we gave away a pair of Nikes. We each chipped in and we said, we're each going to put in $10, and it got us, this dollar amount. And basically we kept it simple enough for something like that. It's a big ticket prize. This was in July. We had them share their before picture, and they could share it in the group or they could share it privately with their coach, but they had to share the picture. And then they just had to share their after picture. And we just wanted to get them in the habit of taking pictures and tracking their measurements. So we kept it super simple. That was actually a fairly easy way to keep track of it too, because every coach was responsible for being like, yep, my person entered their before and after picture, and then one of us was just like, all right, give me all the names. I'll pull them either out of a hat or use a random name drawer. But people really liked the Nikes, so pushing them, motivating them to, get those before and afters too through a pair of Nikes was awesome. We got people coming out of the woodwork that weren't really doing anything for a while, so that was fun. Audrey, when you say a random participation wheel, is you're just like, oh, I saw Sarah was participating a lot, so I'm going to shout her out? Or do you have do you do any sort of tracking?
I'll go back through. Right now I've only done the wheel in the app, so it's easy to go back through because you can see, if you click on their name, you can see how many times they've posted. And I would just, as long as people posted more than 10 times, I put their name on the wheel. But I never tell anyone that I have an amount, because I don't want them to just do the bare minimum. But yeah, and then I just have an app where you just put their names in, and I'll show the picture of the wheel and the name that it selected. So then the Slack asses can kind of see that their name wasn't on the wheel and be like, womp womp, and then they have to congratulate the people that did get selected. But it's just so much easier to just be able to go back and check. In a challenge group, it's sort of the same thing, just based on whatever your challenge. If you're doing it in an an ongoing group, whatever your particular challenge is, just to be able to scroll back through and see, who is actually engaging.
I like that a lot. I know I go back and forth with the app so many times. Thank you, Audrey. I gotta look into that. I also think too, for just engagement and refreshers, back to having the guest speakers. You can get someone that's not from Beachbody too. If your group is super into meditation or literally anything, knitting, or I don't even know, you can get someone in there to talk about those things. If it's going to add value to the people in your challenge group and help them with something and make them feel good and get them engaged, why not? It just doesn't have to be someone that through Beachbody. So that's kind of been where I've been thinking of going next. If you have connections through social media of someone that you think is really cool, why not ask them to hop in for 15 or 20 minutes? It doesn't have to be a long thing. And just get them to share. I think someone, I really want to get someone in there to talk about meditation. I would love to get someone in there who's super into self-care and beauty, maybe that can give some tips on, how to love on yourself a little bit and think outside of the box when it comes to the value you can provide to your challengers. And they're going to love you for it because it's going to be different. They're going to know that they can expect different things coming down the pipeline from you. It's not just going to be a ton of just sweaty selfies and, Shako selfies, which of course are important, and you want them to do that because we want them doing their workouts and drinking their shakes and doing their nutrition. But I just think of it as I want lifers. I want people that love being in my group. So I just like to give them something a little bit different, something that I would join a group to hear about. So, and even if you have a challenger in the group that really rocks at something, ask them to step up and talk about it. So I push them out of their comfort zone all of the time. Okay, sorry, reading back through the chats. If I miss anything too, just call it out again. Candace said, when you mentioned surveying the wellness group for feedback to use Google Forms, the poll method, I've done both. Sometimes if I just need a quick answer, like what night would be better for this, whatever, I use the poll. We did a bigger one using like Google Forms or SurveyMonkey, I can't remember, at the end of June, because we wanted like a lot more feedback on the content we were giving them. And I was shocked how many people filled it out. Like, people really wanted to give us their opinion and tell us what was working. My friend Leah, who's a coach on my team, is really good at, like, she's a teacher and she developed all these like questions. She's like, here's what I want to know. I'm like, great, awesome, run with it. That's why I love doing it together as a team, because like that's one of her strengths, is like assessing and teaching, and that's why I think working together is great. So we got a lot of feedback on that, and it's funny, we actually polled them on what incentivizes them, and we put like prizes, we put guest speakers, we put sharing our struggles, and like no one picked prizes. Our group like isn't really into prizes. We're like, okay, that's weird. I'm just reading your quotes. That's cool, Audrey. Yeah, I need to get back into trying the app again. That was really all I had. I'm going to send Candace copies of these calendars. You guys can use them. I'll keep all the content that's in there so you can like have an idea of like the type of stuff that we share. I know it probably looks like a lot more than it is, but like it's been so helpful. And if you just sit down for not even an hour and you say, here's the things I want to talk about in September, like literally one day could be like dry brushing. One day could be like sharing my favorite quotes from personal development and asking everyone to do the same. You don't have to overthink it. But if you take the time and sit down and like be like, all right, I'm going to bang out content for September, your month is going to be amazing, because every day you're going to show up, you're going to post your sweaty selfie and share that you drank your shake and be like, here's what I'm going to talk about today. And you're going to feel so good that you have it done. So gives you confidence for inviting too. So that's it.
Thank you. That was seriously amazing. I love how you use your planner calendar and you just go through and mark the days. Like it sets you up to know, like you said, exactly what you're posting for. Because so many times I'm like, what am I doing? Like everything seems like a tornado, you know, like we know what we're supposed to talk about, but then all of a sudden there's a day until your challenge group and you're like, God damn it, I didn't advertise for this for the past week. So that will totally help. I would love to see, I think you might have sent me your calendars before, but I would definitely love to get those, because I think it would be great for me to create copies and like implement them into all of our stuff too. And then I think I asked all my questions. Let me make sure. So you sent us the script. I posted it in the team page already on the thread of this call, which was the script from the free group lead or free group person into the challenge group.
I'll go through my scripts too and send you a few more. Like the way it looks, how I keep them all in notes in my phone. Like you guys, I'll share my screen one more time. You're gonna think I'm like a crazy person, but like this is how I do it. Janelle actually taught me this, but I have all different categories and I use emojis because I'm obsessed with emojis. So I have like my messages to new connections, and I just keep a brain dump of them here, and it's so helpful. I need to go through and clean these up, but like I have different ones for Instagram. I keep my hashtag clouds there. I just sometimes like
how the frick did you do that?
It just helps me because I'm, so many of us work full time, right? So like I switched jobs. I don't work at home full time anymore. So like my time where I can be connecting with people and talking to them on Facebook is now a lot more limited than it was when I was home by myself. So like on my lunch break, when I'm walking to get coffee, honestly, when I'm walking to go to the bathroom, I open up my messages. I'm like, all right, I'll just send this to this person, or it just makes it so much easier.
So wait, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep.
How did you create different categories in your notes? Because you just blew my mind. I'm like, oh my God, that would be so helpful.
It's so needed. I'm opening up on my phone. So
you can do it on your phone and you can move them around?
Yep. So when you're in your notes field on your phone.
Yep.
At the bottom, it says new folder. So you just hit new folder, you name it, and then you can actually move current notes that you have by clicking the edit button in the top corner. And then you can check which off you want to move, and you can move them into different categories. It's been really helpful.
Seriously, that just like changed our lives.
We'll make it fun. Throw emojis in there. And like this is key. This is so simple. This is literally the only thing I use my planner for, is to write the dates. And like I draw lines out how long they're lasting, and I color code them because I'm insane. But this is how I work. And this just stays on my desk at work all day out in front of me. And then I pack it up and I bring it in my bag home, and I keep it out at home. So
it's not insane, it's extremely efficient. So I love it, and I'm going to implement it ASAP.
Yeah, it's just good to know. Dates are super. Everything comes back to just having a calendar of dates, because like Candace is really, really good, and Audrey's really good at this too, at like not outwardly blasting like my challenge group is starting on September 5th, but they tell a story and they talk about it without blasting it out there. Like definitely, if you haven't gone to look at their posts, which I'm sure you guys have, go peek. Like there's a time and place, I think, for like, this is my challenge group, it's starting this date type of post. But you don't want to do that in every single post, obviously. But you can tweak it and hide the invite in your post, especially if you know what's coming up. And you can talk about it every day in a story format, which they're really good at. So that's why I like to know what's coming up.
This is super helpful. Does anyone else have any questions or anything before we?
I saw Amanda's question about Android, and I don't know anything about Android, so I don't know how their notes work. I would hope it could work. I mean, otherwise, if you have Google Drive, just make a folder in Google Drive and just put like different Word documents in there, categorized the same way, because you can get Google Drive on your phone. Yeah. I hope this helps. I can't wait to like hear if it helps you guys, and I'll send Candace some of my scripts and just make sure she has the link to the calendars.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. We seriously appreciate all of this. It's been super helpful. I have a bunch of notes, and I actually have like a lot of action item things I've like circled, like this is what I need to implement now. And I know that a shit ton of other people probably have some really great takeaways too. So
glad. I love you guys. You guys are an extended family for my team. So I'm so happy you could have been here.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thanks everybody for taking time out of your lives to show up and hang out with us. Bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.